Well, thank you very much for the chance to be with you, and I just want to say I have always admired you from afar. I appreciate. I've been involved in New York City politics for the last 20 years. I started with the first David Dinkins mayoral campaign 20 years ago, just about this month, and I've always appreciated that SIDA was a consistent progressive voice in good times and bad, when it was politically convenient and when it wasn't. And I appreciate very much, I think you've had a huge impact on the growing trend towards the Democratic Party on Staten Island and towards more progressive politics in the city. So thank you for that. We are now, in just these last few hours, in the aftermath of the city budget. The basic agreement having been struck last night at City Hall. And one of the things that I was particularly focused on was saving firehouses. And I'm pleased to report that even though the mayor was not willing to do the right thing, the city council did do the right thing. We put the money back in to stop all firehouse cutbacks all over the city. And I don't have to tell you that would have disproportionately affected Staten Island like so many other things, and this was a very important cut to stop. We also took some really big steps forward in terms of protecting 6-day-a-week library service, which I think is fundamentally important. And protecting services for children. I'm the chairman of the General Welfare Committee in the council. I focus a lot on stopping child abuse and protecting child care for children in need. We were able to get money back in the budget to do that as well. And I'm very, very proud of that fact. So that's all good news. Now, the bad news is everything I just described has to be done against the will of the mayor. Every single thing I just described, the mayor deigned to allow the city council to put the money in, but would not do it himself. And when you go to issues like education, where there's still huge, serious potential cuts on the table, the mayor is not giving any ground whatsoever. And that defines the moment we're in here in this city. We're Democrats, we're progressives. So I'll start by saying I think when it comes to the mayoral election, there's going to be an election, there's going to be a vigorous debate. As we've seen lately, there's more and more frustration among the people of our city, and by no means is Michael Bloomberg a sure thing. And we have to keep telling people that. We have to remind them there's going to be a very vibrant election in this city, and real issues need to be discussed. But at the same time, everyone in this room has been around public life quite a while, and you know that, or at least a while. You're wise beyond your years. And you know that an incumbent has a huge advantage. So we very well may have Michael Bloomberg back. And what we've seen is he is a particularly challenging adversary for all of us as Democrats and as progressives. And I think it's fair to say that business as usual does not work in trying to take on Michael Bloomberg. He is too powerful for us to think that when he's wrong, we can just call him out and it's easy to change his mind or it's easy to pressure him. We need a different kind of approach. Now, I have seen an approach that works, and it's what I want to try and do as public advocate. For example, when it came to term limits, which I fundamentally opposed what the mayor tried to do. I thought it was undemocratic. I thought it was a power grab. When it came to that, we had to organize people all over this city to try and stop the mayor from moving that legislation. You'll remember how quickly he tried to do that. You'll remember the power dynamics of how he tried to do it and how unfair it was. People said there would not be a debate, there wouldn't be any chance. But I led a coalition of council members that said what the mayor was doing was wrong, and we ended up making it the closest vote in the history of the New York City Council. How did we do that? We worked with allies like the Working Families Party, with civic organizations, with groups all over the city. And we said what the mayor's doing is wrong. We have to organize from the grassroots to do something about it. And that's how the pressure bubbled up and affected the members of the council, and it made that vote as close as it was. Now, right before that, last year at budget time, we had an example of a victory by using those same techniques. The mayor proposed a $129 million cut to classroom funding. They had just funding that directly affected children's education. Now, I'm a public school parent. I can tell you, and you know it, $129 million taken out of classrooms is a huge impact. Now, this was last year before the budget crisis was as bad as it is now. It did not represent the will of the people to take so much money out of the budget. We went and organized all over the city at PTAs and community education councils, we put together a coalition that, again, from the grassroots up, affected the council. And we were able to fight back and get that $129 million back in the city budget. That is the way to take on this mayor. If he's coming back, he will be the least accountable mayor we have dealt with in decades because of his personal wealth and because of the way he extended term limits. He's going to be an entirely different kind of mayor. And we are going to have to take him on in a much more forceful, much more creative way when he's wrong. I know he's been wrong on a number of education issues. Again, I say it as a public school parent. I know he's been wrong when it comes to taking care of those in greatest need in our city, particularly our children. I know he's been wrong when it comes to affordable housing because when it came time to ask developers to do their fair share, again, Staten Island felt the pressures of overdevelopment. When it came time to ask developers to give something back to communities, build affordable housing, hire local people, this city never drove a hard bargain. It's pretty much what the developers wanted. And I know that's not what the people of the city want. So we have a lot of areas where we're going to have to take on this mayor, and it's going to be up to the public advocate to lead the charge. Sometimes the city council does it, but not often enough. Not often enough. It's going to have to be the public advocate who organizes people all over the city around a progressive agenda and uses a strategic approach to actually make an impact when it comes to fighting this mayor. That's what I've been doing in the council. That's the approach I take. I believe the only way you change the public dynamic, the only way you change society is by building from the grassroots up, by fostering a debate, by framing that debate, by educating people and mobilizing them. That is the essence of how you change policies and budgets and everything that affects us. That's what I want to do as public advocates. And I want to thank you again for everything you do and for the values you have held to. We need them more than ever, especially in tough economic times. And thank you for the chance to be with you this evening. Appreciate it.